Welcome to the Global Exclusive Podcast. I am your temporary host for today. My name is Shadow, and I'm joined by Muspel, Bharos, and Dream. And this episode is going to be the last episode of 2020. What a year. But Muspel's got a sponsor for us this week. Finally, our funding is back in tow. Muspel, take it away.
This week, the Global Exclusive Podcast is sponsored by Santa, who brought me 2 Eldrins while I was pulling for a copy of Kryla in 12 tickets.
Motherfucker, did you just turn the... Did you just do the sponsorship as a humble brag, you piece of shit?
God damn it.
See, Santa brought me coal this year, but fuck Santa.
I just got herpes from
You're
him.
in Canada. Isn't that useful for staying warm?
To be fair, I'm in the warmest part of Canada, so it's like I'm already pretty warm where it is. So, well, today we have 3 new units. Well, okay, two reused units.
Hold on. Before we go into the units, Shadow, calm the fuck down. Anyway, I was thinking, why don't we say a word or two about our Christmases, you know? Like, in the holiday spirit, a lot of, maybe not all of our listeners celebrate Christmas, but, you know, it's still the holidays. Did you all have a good Christmas?
Yeah, mine was decent. I feel like it wasn't too impactful. Had some nice food.
Mm-hmm. I basically had nothing to do except to Zoom my parents. And then my wife and I decided to go karaoke at our basement. So, that's what happened.
That does sound great, though. That does sound great. I was lucky to live close to my parents enough so that we could do like a tiny Christmas gathering. We're just the 6 of us. But it was, it was a special type of Christmas, really. I was hoping to get a Christmas gift from either, you know, Alim or Gumi or, just the RNG. But all 3 fucked me in the ass, so here we are.
Jeez. You didn't like Santa Hiroki's Ho-Ho holiday giveaway?
What giveaway? Did I miss something?
Yeah, there was a bundle of free stuff.
There was a bundle of free stuff?
Yeah.
No, I missed that.
You just claimed it without even noticing.
It was in the mail. We got like the tickets where you could get like pearls and stuff.
Okay. It was not for his holiday.
Listen. My dream was Christine to be relevant. Oh shit, I'm jumping ahead. Okay, never mind. You didn't hear anything, listeners. Christine is top of the line. Let's talk about that soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So who wants to introduce Christine?
Is that our segue into Christine? Sure.
Better question. Does anyone want to introduce Christine? Does anyone care about Christine?
I feel I have to introduce her since I like the unit, but I'm gonna do it with sadness in my heart. Alright? So, Christine, unfortunately, is, and I say this with the utmost love for Christine, because I love the unit, total clusterfuck, actually. So, her damage on paper looks decent. She's doing somewhere around Sabin, slightly less maybe on the wiki sheet. I don't know, Dream, you're the expert here, but
that's the same sort of level as Kefka and Sol as well.
Yeah.
Here's what I would say that probably sums it up. They should have at least doubled her damage.
Yeah, but okay, listen,
be a little extreme.
And you're being unfair because
be better still.
And I mean, her damage level is still, decent by NVA standards in that sense. Since she's around Sabin just came out, so that's fine. But my biggest gripe with her is, first of all, she's fucking absolute zero chaining family, meaning 0 chaining partners out there. So that's, not even useful for DV. But yeah, it does get worse. Take it away.
Because her base form is basically a waste of time. Like, she got a good magic buff now and 70x AZ chains, and she has an AoE ice amp, I guess, but she's stuck with 100% Imperil and doesn't have the 6 times cap, so that's just going to be very weak. Her Brave Shift is the one you just want to stay in, and you'll basically be alternating her really low mod chains that fill 20 limit each, and her Brave Shift limit burst, which is Extreme Nova and applies a good Imperil, but the mod isn't that high. So that'll do that, alternating those is what gets her decent damage. but
Yeah.
is horrible with frames.
Yeah, it's totally terrible with frames, especially if you're doing like DV or something. You're not even gonna get her to do that. And I hate this unit design where the base form is unusable. That's so sucky.
Speaking of her base form, I want to mention that for some insane reason, if she shifts back to normal and then there's an 11 turn cooldown until she can brave shift again, 11 turns.
Listen,
So if she
be
dies,
a typo.
she will de-shift. So if she dies and gets re-raised, it's 11 turns until she can deal good damage.
Yeah.
So have fun with that.
You know, good. I was doing air quotes while you were saying good, just so everyone knows.
Yeah. The one thing I'm sure people are wondering with her is how good she is for the upcoming Demon Chimera, which is sort of our first, like, hard trial in quite a while. And, like, at base, her damage probably isn't good enough for that turn limit, even with her 150% active beast killer buff for 5 turns. But there is a bit of a trick you can use that might get her over the line if you can do it consistently, and it'll require a support with good LB fill, but basically, Christine's one of the few units who has a different limit cost in base and shift form. Her base one's only 30, while her shift's 80. So on her off turns, instead of using her weak chains to self-fill the LB, you might be able to shift into base form temporarily.
Wait, and wait 11 turns?
No, not even, like, shift but don't do any actions. Use flat fill from your teammates to fill up her 30 cost limit, and then cancel the shift to go back to her shift form with the 80 cost, and use her limit burst consecutively.
I thought if you shift and then back out from selecting an ability, you can't de-shift that turn.
No, you can shift back and forth freely as long as you haven't used an ability. So you can, like, go into her base form, flat fill her limit burst externally, and then, like, stay in shift form to use her limit burst consecutively. And if you can do that, like, a lot, she might get the damage per turn needed for turn limit. I think it'd need Terra's Shiva Field as well as, like, Realm's Rod Imperil to be able to be enough, because it's, like, pretty tight even with, like, Phasalis and one of those two helping.
Right.
But yeah, it might be possible.
But that's a pretty cool trick, Dream. Hey, thank you for teaching me that. I never thought about, doing that type of cheating. Yeah. I wonder how many other units have. I mean, it's a cool trick. It's a cool trick.
Most units have the same limit cost in both forms, so you can't do too much with it, but you can still do a little bit of it if you have, like, a non-damage form filled with really high limit fill rate, and then, like, a rolling 4 enemy drops.
Yeah, I mean, you could do even other stuff, like you can have the base form geared for, like, a lot of resistance, where one of your other units hits the base form for, some reason where you don't want to damage the boss or something, and then you just shift into your other or normal form or your shift form. So there's some stuff you can do. Some stuff you can do. Huh. Cool. Did not know.
Yeah. And the last thing Christine can do, she can entrust, which is not on her multicast, or she can once every 10 turns give another unit a quadcast AZ chain.
I'm really glad they limited that to once every 10 turns. It would just
it would be too strong. 24 times modifier, geez.
Yeah, well, okay. To be fair, it does fill 40 LB for the unit using all 4 of them.
Yeah, if you use the full cast.
But so I'm thinking, since you mentioned Demon Chimera, what's the unit flavor unit for that trial? Because so Physalis can't do it, right?
Yeah. Basically, you want ice or lightning mages, so you're looking at basically either Physalis or base form Ibarra.
Right.
And then Terra's Fields help a lot and boost their damage as well. And she can contribute a little bit, but the fire resist, like, really tanks into her damage.
Right. So, technically, I am fucked. That's what you're actually saying. Because I am neither of them.
Then you will probably need to wait for someone else to be able to do it in turn limit.
Huh, that's so interesting. This is going to be the first trial I won't be able to beat. Well, at least not within turn limit. Huh. Okay, interesting. This is gonna be a hit on my ego, I guess.
Depends whether they delay it for 2 months, though. Because it's like second in the queue currently. We have Omega to get before that, which is like the last of the sort of easy OTK trials.
Right. Well, okay, interesting. I guess I have some time to, get good or die trying.
Well, I think I've rambled enough for a few minutes, so Muspel, do you want to talk about Kryla for a while?
I'd rather not, but okay.
Oh yeah, Muspel's a Kryla hater.
Well, I mean, I fully back you on this, Muspel, although it's terribly dangerous to say, because Kryla has a rabid fan base.
I don't hate Kryla, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I was going to say she has a rabid fan base that's well-deserved, but maybe not this time around, unfortunately.
I said this in last week's episode, I think, but what Kryla really needed was basically for them to give her new versions of all of her old skills, but with higher numbers. And they didn't do that. So her breaks are a little better. That's good. She needed that. She has better imperils. And then her Brave Shift gives her, like, imbues and elemental amps that also imperil the units you use them on. And that's pretty much it. I mean, the problem with this is that if you're imperiling a unit with the opposite element that you're using them for, that's mostly only useful in Dark Visions. But in Dark Visions, you probably don't want to be imperiled for the opposite element because the boss usually uses that element, and you usually need resists. Now, if the boss is already imperiling you for that element, and you were just gearing around it, you'll be fine. But if you were going to try to, I don't know, dispel or cure the imperil or something, this could be a problem. And
I mean, with DV, you're only really doing damage on one turn, so you can always just imbue on the kill turn.
Yeah, if it's a boss where you can imbue and spread on the kill turn, yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you want to spread it as well.
Then she's contributing chains, which, again, could be an issue if you're counting on that. She's not...
True, I guess you can triple cast Bolting Strike for chains.
She's not terrible. She really isn't. But she just didn't gain a whole lot. Like, even in Dark Visions, I look at her kit, and I don't see a whole lot of reason to use her. Because it's, like, imbues aren't that hard to do these days. Especially with Zon around, and the Elemental Amp probably isn't worth it. So it's a breaker who does some elemental amp, and that's not bad, but
well,
nobody's that excited over it.
I really like the all elements 130% imperil though. That's pretty cool. That's her Grandis in shift form, right? And it's
in a few situations you might be in a case where just like a slot purely for 85% break plus 130% imperil is a damage increase for you, but that's not super likely.
No.
Yeah, I kind of feel like for almost everything she does, there's units that I would want to bring instead. Like, if I'm dealing dark damage, I probably want Riku instead of her, because he deals a lot of damage, and probably adds more than her amp does. If I'm dealing light damage, I probably want Kyrie or maybe Phasey for the 25% light amp instead of 15%. If I want just breaks, I'm probably using Lauren or, again, Riku. She's good for people that don't have every unit, but if you don't have every unit, you're not competing that much in Dark Visions anyways, so...
I think the difference is that Kryla is like almost a 3 or 4 year unit, so old unit, so that many people have them, almost like out of... Especially since last Christmas, because there was that one last Christmas banner was a guaranteed rainbow every 5k or something. But like, there was... Because of that, Kryla being in your inventory is a higher chance than you having an NV... like the latest NV units like Riku and Kyrie that you just mentioned.
That's true, but you need 7 copies of her. And you can get, 2 of them for free from the event? But still, you need 5 copies, and almost nobody has 5 copies of her.
Well, I had 6 copies of her, so...
You can buy the shard bundle for effectively another 2
I don't like that argument, because I agree with Muspel here. It's still 7 copies. I don't think she should be as strong as an NV base unit, but, I think, I actually think the biggest problem is exactly what Muspel said, where Kryla's entire existence has been all around being an extremely versatile unit that works well in so many scenarios, that she's well loved, right? But in order for her to be relevant, again, it's just like Muspel said, you'd need to buff every of her abilities with higher numbers, and then she would still be a really good, versatile unit. But, that's going to...
Yeah, if they had raised her elemental resist to 70%, she would be pretty great. Because I don't really think there's many breakers or any breakers that do that.
Yeah, most breakers focus on debuffing. There isn't like a good combination of buffing and debuffing in this game.
But nowadays you want higher than 50%. And it's not that the 50% resist buffs are useless, but you can get 70% from a lot of places, and it's harder to justify bringing her over somebody else. Again, that doesn't make her bad. There's not there's honestly not that large a gap between the best breakers and the decent ones, but she's not one of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say one place that she probably will show up quite a lot will be in people's teams for the Asura trial coming up, because her old, brews, they have the exact right element pairs for Asura's sealing in Phase 1, and then she can still be your breaker and possibly help with, I think some MP drain stuff as well.
Yeah. Well,
so she'll be nice on that fight.
Doesn't she only refill her own MP?
Possibly, but if, you make her your provoker for the MP drain, that might help.
And I mean,
I haven't looked at the fights.
You can still accomplish that with a 7-star Kryla, though. You don't need the NVA.
She has to kill an ally to restore her MP, I thought.
Maybe. I mean, her Eyes of Argus cooldown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she does. But she has, another refresh buff for herself, I think. Or, I don't know. Maybe not with the MP, but she's got the sealing plus the breaks, which will still be a handy combo. Because otherwise those element pairs can be quite annoying to cover everything with.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, not much more to say. I mean, unfortunately, a difficult unit to make good when it comes to NVA without turning her into an entirely new unit. They could have done her more justice in her shift form, giving her a bit more support than they did. Because just like Muspel said, just the Imbue and Imperil and Amp is good, but not that good, and if you consider you're actually imperiling that unit, it becomes tricky, so...
Yeah, she does have probably one of the better TMs and STMRs on the banner. It's either best or second best, depending on how you feel about Eldrins. But honestly...
Christine's STMR is still nice, too.
I guess there's more magic tool do wield gear these days, so I don't feel that Christine's matters as much as it once did. But honestly, the TMs and STMRs on this banner are mostly not great, so it's not saying much that she has the best ones.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are decent, pretty good, but none are really outstanding.
You're only saying that to make yourself feel better for pulling on the banner, Dream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Felix's STMR is a good chess piece. Levinson's hat is pretty solid.
Levinson's STMR is trash, friend.
No, his TMR.
Okay.
His TMR is pretty solid. It's like a high attack hat with some resists.
I feel like a lot of the TMs wouldn't feel out of place on 3-star or 4-star units.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know, Kryla's TM.
I think you're forgetting how bad most 3-star and 4-star TMs are.
Yeah, 3-star is stretching.
I'm not saying that they wouldn't be among the better 4-star TMs, but we have 4-star TMs that are as good or better than these in various ways.
I mean, there's a few 4-star TMs that are better than a lot of rainbow TMs, but
yeah. Do we want to move on?
And I mean, a lot of them
let's just move on.
Move on to Ice Dad, Fry Dad.
Finally get to the feature, the actual feature.
Does anyone feel Cotton should be here to defend both her steep investment into this banner and pulling for Eldrin? That's such a shame. She would probably at least be able to fanboy him a bit.
I mean, she has all that Lapis saved up after skipping Final Fantasy 6.
Ah, that's true. Yeah, because she hates Final Fantasy 6. That was a banner that really had her save up Lapis. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, okay, let's talk about Eldrin. First thing I want to say about him has nothing to do with this kid, and that's actually, okay, I actually do like his sprites. Both of them. Both the base form and the shift form have very nice sprites. So that's really going for him.
All you need to know is the Brave Shift has a dog, and that is why Cotton.
Yeah, and it's a very beautiful, majestic dog too. So it looks good. It looks good.
Lovely boy.
Damage-wise, he's 10% ahead of Sora, right? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, something like that. It's very slightly higher than Phasalis on even defense and spirit fights.
Yeah, the main problem with him is that he doesn't burst anywhere near as hard as Sora, which is part of what makes Sora so good. And he's a hybrid, so on most Dark Visions bosses, he's going to be dealing not half damage, but probably 60 or 70% of his base damage, which leaves him without much.
Yeah.
Hybrid units are always a pain to use in the builder because the calculations take forever. That doesn't make him weaker as a unit, but it's a headache to deal with.
It is. I agree. I fully agree.
You gotta pin some items.
You have to pin a bunch of stuff.
You're not bad, you're just annoying.
But the problem with a unit like Eldrin is it's hard to know what to pin because he's true dual wield and you aren't sure. If you can pin the weapons, Elena was not that bad to build, original Elena, because you pin her sword. and then it didn't have to compare 500 different weapons with slightly varying balances of attack and magic. But for Eldrin, it's going to be comparing a whole lot of stuff, and it just takes a very long time.
But I mean, again, that's really not saying this is a bad unit, because, if you just, turn on the builder, go make yourself a coffee, come back the next day, and it's going to be done.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's just worse than units that have come out over the past month or two. Not necessarily by a whole lot, but enough that you probably should have pulled for those units instead if you wanted a damage dealer.
Yeah, so here's the thing, one other thing that was super interesting that was discussed in our Discord. So again, listeners, you can join our Discord. The link is always in the episode description. So you're just free to join a fantastic community of really try-hard and die-hard FFBE fans. But there was this really good discussion about hybrid viability in the future of the JP meta. And as it turns out, there's quite a lot of difficult trials coming our way that either have a really high defense or really high spirit stat, and usually with the weaker stat also being breakable, meaning that hybrids are really getting shafted on these fights. So that's a big downside for hybrid units.
And I mean, with the whole, hybrids are bad for DV thing, just keep in mind that the reasoning behind that doesn't apply to the final boss, which is the one that matters the most. But yeah, it's still it's a bit awkward having to work with both, but at the same time it does also make them a bit more universal. They can still work with all of those fights, even if on a lot of them it's not at their full
so have you done
potential.
the calcs for Eldrin on Demon Chimera, since we're already talking about it?
Not exactly. If
I mean, because half of his damage is, of course,
I was
below
gonna say,
pristine even, so or
it's
kind of there.
As the second ice-based beast killer unit on the banner, people are probably wondering, how does he do against Demon Chimera? And if your attack and magic are the same, I think Hybrid's sort of effective modifier on Chimera with its defenses is about 72%, because of the defense will be roughly triple the spirit after the buff, but not quite, because the buff doesn't apply to the passive stats. But if you gear him more towards magic, you can probably get that to about 80% modifier at least, so it's not too bad, and his base damage is a lot higher than Christine's, before any division, so he might be able to do it. I'll give him another might, because after around turn 10 or so, his damage is going to start falling off a bit as he runs out of Granduses to upgrade Ice Coop. But
so a maybe.
So yeah, he'll have a decent chance with because he's got his innate beast killers and stuff, and can active buff it pretty well if you slot in his LB on some turns. Right. So yeah, I think with some good support, he might be able to. The problem, I guess, part of the problem compared to the other mages that are projected to do well is he has a tougher time taking advantage of Rod and Peril. He can equip them, but he has to worry a bit about log formula and things on his physical side. And he can't. There's no physical ice amp field yet, unlike the magic one, which won't work for him.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, again, still a solid unit as long as you're aware that you're not gonna. There are some trials where he's gonna struggle just because he's a hybrid and he's gonna do half his damage. So yeah.
I also want to talk about his TM, STMR, and card a bit.
Please do.
His TM is kind of I don't want to say the poor man's Ravenheart because it's an NVTM. That's not really the poor man's anything.
Yeah.
But it's a worse version of Ravenheart for the most part. It's got 50 attack and magic and 25% true to the wield for both. If you can get 2 copies of it, it's pretty good. If you only have one, not so much. And it just felt like they tried to play it too safe with the item and ended up with something that isn't very useful for the most part. His STMR, there's not really much to say here. It's not great.
No, it's a slightly stronger version of Enhancer plus, right?
It's fine for hybrids, all 2 of them, but
it's got a red sword effect for hybrid damage, which is pretty neat.
Yeah,
it'll make you heal off attacks, but because it's specifically hybrid damage, it's a bit.
But I like those effects in theory. I don't I don't think they're actually very useful though.
And you know, what I really hate about Eldrin is, you know, there might be people like me thinking, hey, but you know, with Demon Chimera, and if I give a lot of support, maybe I can bring my Elena and chain with Eldrin that, like, I use a friend Eldrin and chain with him in order to beat the turn limit. Yeah, and here Gumi came in and said, fuck you, because... Who wants to do this?
Is it because Eldrin's absolute mirror of equity?
As, like, 0 other hybrids or magic chainers are, which really sucks.
Fraevia? Aurora Fraevia?
Yeah, listen.
Malphasy?
So we're not talking about units that are as relevant as the Dragon Quest units, okay?
I mean, there's one other relevant hybrid.
Well, yeah, exactly my fucking point. That's exactly my point. There's one other relevant hybrid.
Is she still relevant, though?
Probably isn't.
What they really should have done is give him absolute 0 frames so he could chain with Christine.
Yeah, they could have done that. They could have also given him bolting strikes so he can at least chain with, you know, Kryla, with Yoshi, and with Elena. But as it is now, he can't chain with a single... Like, even for DV, if you're bringing him for DV magic stages, which you could, because he has good modifiers, and if you can use ice... but who the fuck is going to chain with him? Zon? Well, I guess Zon, but...
Bharos realizing that he accidentally
but my point is, yes, you can do Zon, but there's no other actual magic or hybrid chainer that can chain with him. That's such a shame. It's one of these good things.
In Dark Visions, you're only using him on the trials that are probably on the final boss, so you can just use Axstar.
Yeah, I mean, yes. On the final boss, this is a decent unit on every DV. But I just still think, I just don't understand it. I don't understand why he's absolute mirror of equity. We have 0 absolute mirror of equity hybrids right now that are relevant. As well as mages. It's just weird.
It's flavor.
We should also talk about his card, which is bad.
I mean, it is actually surprisingly bad. I would remember looking at it and I was like, this is not a fantastic card, to be honest. Like, to be honest, I think it's worse than Elena's.
If the flat stats weren't so low, I wouldn't feel so bad about it. But it has 50 attack and magic, which is like
rough.
Yeah. Because stats scale quadratically, you usually want a lot of one, like the cards with 100 attack or 100 magic. Or if you're doing something that doesn't have that, you want it to have more than a sum of 100 to compete. Like how Elena's card has 65 of each.
Yeah, and LB damage.
I think Elena's is 60 and Physalis is 65.
Yeah, but the Physalis is the hybrid unit.
And Elena's also has some other stuff which is useful. This one has 25% Beast Killer, Ice Resist, and Guts.
But
and Guts and Beast Killer aren't bad, but it's not worth it.
But there is one thing to say for this card, though.
Each individually has a niche use, but you're unlikely to be able to take advantage of like many of them at the same time, which sort of just makes it unreal.
And I mean, 25% is so fucking awkward. When you're going to equip that, when you can do 250 but not 300, so you slot in 25 more. It's like so fucking dumb. You're never doing 25%.
No, with the 75% like trial killer weapons and like say 125 Esper, 75% weapon, 75% killer plus materia.
Okay, maybe, yeah. But there's one big thing to say about this card, and that it looks fucking adorable. Have you seen it? Eldrin is teaching Fraevia to fence. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it does look really nice. And I mean that's the story with most vision cards, to be honest, but like it is still a really nice.
This is an important question for me that I need to ask. Where the fuck do you actually see the animations in game?
Oh, you're going to like help.
When you go to vision cards and you look at the cards.
So when you go like what do you mean when you go to vision cards? Do we have like a new
items?
Okay.
I think he means unit animations, doesn't he?
No. I mean the.
I think you can long press on like the cards wherever they are. And
really?
You get the
okay, I didn't know because I was a bit frustrated about this. I was equipping my units with the cards, and it's always a still picture. When you're upgrading your cards and giving them level, it's also a still frame. So I was like, hey, but where are these amazing animations? Because they are actually really cute, most of them.
Wait. I'm pretty sure when you do the enhance, you get the animation, don't you?
So I can check now, but I'm pretty sure you don't.
I'm doing it right now. If you long press on the card, you see the animation.
Okay, but you have to long press. All right. Okay, cool. Now I know. I learned something more today. I'm learning so many things about FFBE thanks to sitting with the biggest nerds. when it comes to FFBE.
Says the guy who's been doing a podcast about it for a year.
Yeah, but I am also the least qualified member of the group, so I can get away with it.
Speaking of the past year.
Oof. Here's the segue.
Here we go. Muspel should be radio. Here we go.
Well, we're gonna kind of look back at 2020 and talk about what happened in FFBE during that time.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and I've been looking forward to this actually because like I think this year has been probably like the most drastic year FFBE had, barring maybe the introduction of 7-star. But we can start this 1 month at a time.
Yeah, we're not gonna go banner by banner, but I figure we can start with the beginning of January, which is when Awakened Warrior of Light came out.
Wait, are you? Wait, that can't be true.
That is true.
Exactly wait. So January 2020, Awakened Warrior of Light came out.
January 2020.
Awakened Warrior of Light came out, and also Telfusanis.
Oh my god, that feels like it's 4 years ago. Are you kidding me? Holy shit!
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's from the before times, before the pandemic.
I mean, no, you're shitting me. No, this is you're talking about 2019. There's no way.
No, January 2nd, 2020, Awakened Warrior of Light and Immortal Night Garland were released. And I think this is what we've all been waiting for at the time. So I thought it was... I pulled hard on that banner.
Hey, who do you think came out in 2019, January?
Okay. This is a good one. Okay, January 2019. What was I doing in January 2019? That's like kind of around Xeno, but before him, right? Because Xeno was after Easter and Esther. So, shit. Aurora Frievia? No, I don't know. Tell me.
Tifa came out.
Wait, original Tifa?
Vincent?
Original Tifa and
Volca.
Holy
shit.
Cloud and Sephiroth got their 7 stars.
What the fuck? Okay. Wow, okay. So, Awakened Warrior of Light, 20... Jesus Christ.
I think that was a strong start to the year, though. Like, Awakened Warrior of Light.
Yeah, he was great at the time. I mean, he's still not bad. He's just, thoroughly overshadowed by Gabrand.
And
so, in a world where, like, Awakened Warrior of Light clearly became our best physical tank by a mile, he stayed that for a long time.
Galuf
yeah, I remember there were really hot debates in Wiki Unit Ratings on the Discord about Galuf versus Awakened Warrior of Light, and Galuf actually got bigger points because he was easier to gear for the casual players. So,
well, it's because he could maintain
too,
instead of dropping it for 2 turns.
Yeah, because it was pretty rare. There weren't a lot of units back then that could do it if you didn't have Galuf doing it.
Yeah. So, but okay, cool. Wow, Shadow. That feels like 2 years ago. That's so far away from where we are today. It's scary. Mm-hmm. Wow. All right, give us second month.
Yeah, there's one other thing in January I want to talk about, which is maybe the biggest mistake Gumi has ever made in the history of the game.
Oh, okay.
The release of Xuan Wu and Qinglong.
Oh, that's what was okay. But that I feel, that was a year ago. That feels reasonable, right? Because I remember that fucking pain in the ass and everyone using him for every fucking trial since, and breaking the first DVs with that shit.
For those who aren't familiar and who maybe haven't listened to our first episode, Xuan Wu and Qinglong were a spirit-based damage dealer. They weren't the first one, but they were the first one who had done really good damage. They were like the top damage dealer at the time, and they were tankier than actual magic.
And they had stupid burst.
Basically completely immune to magic damage.
And this was back in the good old days where bulk on damage dealers actually mattered. And that was a good time to be alive.
There were a lot of bosses where you could bring in Xuan Wu and just... Like, your damage dealers normally needed elemental resists to not die to AoEs, and Xuan Wu did not give a fuck.
Yeah, he just didn't need anything. He had 3k fucking spirit.
Yeah, so that was not a good idea on Gumi's part, and that's probably why Yoshikiri is so terrible at dealing damage, because they were afraid of doing that again.
Yeah, probably. I mean, and I think rightly so. Yoshikiri is in a good spot, but yeah. Cool. Okay, so what does... if this was January, then what the fuck did February bring?
Hold on. January had even more. It also had the end of season 2 and the start of our revisit quests, which has like bumped up our lapis income a decent amount
before they stopped.
And I mean, like, well, there's still one more to go.
February has some really good stuff, and also one really terrible thing.
Shoot.
I think before all of that, like we have to talk about a bit about like how season 2 ended, and we got
why do we have to talk about that, Shadow?
Season 3, everyone's favorite season so far. Yeah.
We've talked about it enough. Plus, like, season 3 is actually getting decent.
Yeah,
I
wouldn't know because I just keep skipping all the fucking cutscenes anyway. And it's so weird because I skip the cutscenes and then I fight a girl with a piano and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I just skip the cutscenes anyway because I know they're going to be terrible. But maybe they aren't. Maybe I should start watching them. Someone told me like there's a...
They're terrible.
Okay, never mind then. Thank you.
I'm not watching them either, but I know they're terrible.
Yeah, thank you, Muspel, for like testing the raw sewage for me.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. He specifically said he hasn't seen them, which is the thing. Everyone that like still really rags on the season 3 story is still skipping the season 3 story.
It's brain damage. You're traumatized, and you're just giving in finally.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Okay, never mind. Okay. Let's just all agree that season 3 sucks and move the fuck on.
All right, so February, there were a lot of things that happened. I think Telphosaurus, this was the last month of Telphosaurus, and it was the hardest part. Like, they released the hardest part of it.
Man, that was fun. That was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
There was actually some big stuff going on in February. Cecil came out.
Cecil happened.
Shit, Cecil came out. And that's the start of my 6-month long agony. Oh shit, yes, I remember that.
No, but more importantly, the Global Exclusive podcast started in February. So,
unfortunately, yes. Yeah, it was that was the really bad thing I was talking about earlier.
Oh yeah, and then my 6 months of agony started.
I thought the really bad thing you were talking about was Seacard and Ignacio.
Oh man,
Why would I think that was bad?
Oh, yeah, so those of you that didn't listen to that episode, I actually thought the design of the units was great. So I went into the banner, and when I got my first Seagard and Ignacio pretty fast, I was like, oh my god, this is fantastic. Now let me just wait until I can UOC these. And then I realized it was a limited banner. So that was horrible.
Yeah, this was back when Bharos claimed that he didn't pull out unlimited banners. Anybody remember that?
No, I never said that, Muscle. Stop lying to our listeners. But yeah.
Oh man, but February was also a great month because of Paladin and Cecil highlighting the speed and unit.
Big hard.
Yeah, I guess. So, and then the Global Exclusive podcast started. And we started getting Layton's kind of again. I think this year at that point, and then it stopped middle late. But we'll talk about that, I guess.
So what happened then?
Oh well, then came March and Madame Edel.
Oh, the Madame.
March was not.
Well, it was significant because Madame Edel brought with her probably the best story event to date. I still remember that. I still remember that being really good.
There's actually 3 main things in March that I want to mention. The first is that we got the Full Metal Alchemist banner, which it was a pretty big power spike in terms of damage. I mean, that's not unusual, but we should probably point that out. The second thing is that we got the last Esper that we will maybe ever get, which was 3-star Kokuryu.
Oh, shit. Black Dragon was then. Huh, okay.
Yeah, and the third thing is that they introduced Omniprisms.
Oh, that was in March. Oh, yes, because that's when I actually got my Sayaka. I remember that, because I only had one Sayaka, and they introduced Omniprism, so I bought that shit faster than something that's really fast.
Oh, yeah. And I went, did the full lap on Edward Step Up, and had to get him purely with the guaranteed ticket at the end and an Omniprism.
Yeah, I remember you having shit luck on that banner. I remember that. While Cotton was shittering units left and right, just like she usually fucking does.
But yeah, I think that's probably all for March.
So what do we have in April?
Yeah, March wasn't.
April we have this was so much fun. We have Esther enhancements. Remember that?
Yes. Oh man.
I think we need to talk a bit more about April than just the thing that happened, but also the sort of internal confusion that we had as a community, because they were skipping a shit ton of things back then, right? You know how they were reordering CG units,
and they were wait, hold on, Shadow.
Early.
I remember this. Wait, I recall this weekly. If I remember back, there was one of the hosts on the podcast that kept saying they're doing this to speed up NVs. Who the fuck was that? It must have been someone really handsome, smart, and with a huge dick. It must have been Hazard, because he's not here. Nobody else knows who was saying it.
Okay, but you were still wrong, by the way.
Let me
And-
just check.
I was so
something for a
not wrong.
second.
I was 100% correct, you motherfucker. That's exactly what I was.
So there was still a level of like whole confusion around
Well,
the community because they kept skipping all the story events, but then later on we figured out that it was because of COVID and everything. And in a sense, I guess they're trying to retroactively fix their mistakes. But
No.
yeah, April was a weird month.
But
The other big thing in April.
Bharos, Envy was only like announced and released in JP at the very end of
Yeah,
April.
and I said it like in that April episode. I think I said it super early. I remember saying it super early. They are doing this to speed up Envy because Envy was such a huge thing in JP, and I'm still
The
sure.
other big
No, but
thing, the other big
I
thing
still
that
don't
happened
think-
in April was that the thing that kind of shaped the discussions in meta for
Oh, Dark Visions.
forever. Yeah, Dark Vision. We got the first Dark Vision.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember that. That was good. That was
Back on the point, what Bharos was saying, that I still don't think that's why they sped it up. I still think it's because of COVID and they had no choice, so they had to rely on like quick banners. So that's why they had to speed it up.
yeah. I think you're wrong, but that's
Instead
okay.
of,
It's
like-
okay to be wrong, Shadow.
Hold on.
You know, sometimes you can be wrong.
So
Hey, we also forgot something from March. March was when series boss
Oh,
battles
yeah.
died.
Rest in peace.
I mean,
Well,
we
they
got-
we
didn't
technically
die.
got them
We
back.
got one back, so
They got a cameo appearance recently, so that
Yeah, we got
happened.
Vlad.
Yeah, but he doesn't
anyway,
count.
what happened then? What happened in May?
May was actually better because May was in a sense it was FF7 AC
Ooh.
Cloud, and AC Cloud was hyped up
Yes.
as hell.
Thanks to DV
like, a
in
lot.
large part, of
So
course.
That, yeah, but May was also the month that War Hero Ragen came out. So like two big
Yeah.
DV units just came out on the same month,
Yeah.
hitting it hard.
Yeah, units that didn't necessarily last that long in hindsight. Like, it's not that they were bad in the short term,
Well,
but
yeah.
Neovision.
But
was very
AC
close to
Cloud
that
did
point.
last like all the way up until Neovisions, though.
Envy.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
I still maintain
Nah,
kind
he
of
really wasn't though.
overrated.
He really hurt.
I'm not
He
bitter or anything.
was good. I don't think he was overrated. I think he was overhyped.
I mean, he did like stupid amounts of damage at that time. He was an LB damage dealer. He was overshadowed by Tifa. That's what happened.
His stupid amounts of damage is again what Musball likes to say with the massage and Rolex and
Yeah, but
happy
that's
ending type.
why
thing.
that was
So-
what he was. I even stated that in that podcast episode. He was a unit for the people that could gear him and use him that way, and he did that excellently.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. It's just there is a certain someone's spreadsheet out there about JP damage, and his was always up there because of
Yeah,
that
true.
massage and
There were
happy
people
ending.
assuming that
So-
you're gonna like LB every
And-
turn with him and shit
LB
like that.
every
Yes.
turn, AC Cloud.
Anyway,
That was a
what
good game.
happened then? We're getting closer to NVs
But-
now.
Well,
In June,
No,
we got the
Collab
collab
Fest? What's that?
remember there was a whole
when
like Adam
they
Jensen,
reran like every single
Rico,
collab at once on the banner with the very high
Rodriguez,
rainbow rate.
Ellie.
Yeah,
Oh
well, like,
shit! Yeah,
5 or
that's when I
6 of them.
completed my Xenogears collection. That is true. Yes, I remember that. I remember
Yes,
Yeah.
and most of the units were still terrible
Of
because
course.
we didn't upgrade them, but we got upgrades for
And they got
Well,
reactive
we
enhancements.
should mention Rico because like there was that one moment where Rico's Magnus was kind of just weird for like a second in the during maintenance, and then they fixed it during maintenance.
no,
Because like,
no, it was actually
No.
broken for like a week.
was it
Yeah, they fixed it later
okay?
because it cast twice.
Or it was. I think it got changed mid maintenance. Like it was really strong at the start of
Yeah, I
maintenance.
remember that.
and then I
Speaking of
think
bugs, actually,
it went down, but it was still like broken chaining wise, and then they like made it
but
actually.
speaking
chain
of bugs,
a
there's
week
one
later or
bug we actually
something.
didn't talk about. Wasn't there also this bug where you could like do endless Magnus chaining with fucking Shu Wen back in the day, right? Yeah,
There
exactly.
was weird like repeat bugs and like things that would make your stuff keep casting. I don't remember if they were ever like
No. There was a
able to be
consistently activated Shu Wen bug.
consistently.
Like
You really
Nexus was
use them.
jizzing his pants constantly over it because you could like. I think you could do his Magnus constantly.
Oh, it was the no, it was the dual wield. There was the dual wield.
Oh,
one that
Hexacast.
let you,
Yes, that's the one.
Hexacast.
Okay, but to be fair, Nexus jizzes his pants
There was like
over
3
everything.
different bugs all around that
Nah.
time.
Yes. Anyway, well, I mean, now we're
Anyway.
getting really close to
So
actually NV, right?
Well, now we come to July where we get I think the final few batches of the Esper units with Umbral
Right.
Dragon Dark Fina.
The
and I think the
big thing
biggest-
in July, I think though, that actually
was
changed
Vaughn.
What?
things
Really?
I
think
was
Vaughn
actually going to
bigger.
say Ace and Rem.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I remember Ace and
having
Rem.
like,
I was
physical
actually so
mages.
happy. I had...
Oh my goodness, I pulled
Yeah,
so
me too.
hard on that.
I had dreams luck when I pulled on that banner, actually.
Yeah, Ace and Rem
Yeah,
were a very big
so did I.
quality-of-life thing for Dark Visions, and also just like in terms of power. But before them, it was very hard to deal with a lot of the elemental stages in DV, just because there weren't good units for it. But Ace and Rem could be imbued, and they had good killer access and
That was so good.
good stuff.
Look, none of that matters.
End of June also had, end of June, Dark Visions also had the scoring change that meant like you no longer had to like kill turn 1 for
June
perfect
25th,
score.
That was very nice.
And that was
very
really
nice too.
a really nice change.
Okay, but guys, none of that matters because in July, like Seeker of Freedom Fawn came out, the best FF protagonist from the best
he's
FF
actually
game.
wait, hold on. Vaughn is
you.
probably still one of like the longest lasting units in the game, right? Like he's
No,
I mean he has a solid 6 months already.
He's lasted less than 6 months at this point.
Well, that's good though, right?
Cecil lasted like 10. White Knight Noel lasted like 2
Yeah, you can't
years.
count tanks. You can't count tanks.
Tanks are released so
Yeah,
infrequently
I mean
that
you
they
can't count a
have
unit that is released every
natural,
10th month.
soft life.
That's just unfair because that's when the creep comes. So, but I mean, no, but Vaughn is still good. Like he has the 130% in perils. He has really strong breaks still. So he was a really strong pick. Like what I wanted to say is I think Vaughn was properly hyped at the time of release.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Use evasion.
Yeah.
Or people that do use evasion.
Yeah.
I think the last unit that I want to highlight in July is Fina and Dark Fina, just because she was
shut up,
much by
shut
that
up.
point. She was a fucking meme.
I want to
Wait,
take a moment
what?
here and say that Zenaida came out in July, and everybody talked about how great she was, and she really wasn't.
Yeah, I was expecting to dream
she
to
was
jump
cool.
in here. Yeah.
And like she deserved more
but she
time
got
in the
shot
sun
on.
before Envy. Because she was
and
strong.
then Envy came, and I guess here is where our journey really speeds up, right? Because
Well, first we have August. We have to talk about Kuja.
It's like, it's good. So
Kuja,
are we just going to brush over Kuja?
Yeah, people were so excited for Kuja, and then Envy came out 2 weeks later.
I mean, honestly, Kuja was pretty much the only 7-star damage dealer who actually retained relevance for a couple months in the Envy era.
Yeah, people
Mainly
were still
because
using
he's
him
a
on late
mage for
stages and
DV.
stuff like that. People were using him even a couple of months later, so that's
Yeah.
But the real star of August is Tifa.
Yes. Obviously.
I mean, Envy Awakening Tifa has clearly
Tifa,
duh.
That's
Tifa is one of those units, like, it really forced their hand. I mean, we've talked about this so many times. I don't want to exhaust this topic, but it really did force their hand to do some really weird trial designs. And one thing that I do feel about Tifa is that she was also a bit overhyped in her own right. So now, people are going to start slapping me now. What do you mean overhyped? Tifa is still incredibly strong, and she is. But I remember at the time, everyone was saying Tifa was amazing, but then you realize that actually, FF7R Cloud actually outdamages her if, Rolex, massage therapist, blowjob, etc. So I do think she was maybe a bit unjustly hyped. The math guy goes,
In Burst, though, he just
No,
doesn't.
he does. No, he does.
He just doesn't.
No, he does. He does. He does more.
No,
he does not burst anywhere near.
No, he does. He bursts harder than Tifa. If you give him...
No, his burst is around 271 billion without any STMRs. He would need to more than double his damage while Tifa stays the same when you start to give external support.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you are comparing fully STMR'd EX2 external support cloud with Wiki Tifa, then sure, but give her a similar level of gear and she wins.
Tifa, no. I have seen sheets where EX2 Cloud outdamages EX2 Tifa obviously with really thick gear.
Is that the JP?
Is that with his
No,
EX2
that's not the
abilities?
EX2 ability cloud. It's just our standard cloud, and it's just the burst. So we're not talking about,
And was this sheet written by a guy by the name of?
No, it wasn't. It's by a very dear, by a very dear member of our community that actually is a really strong DV player. Has really good calcs. I'm trusting this information.
Well, Bharos is wrong, but we can talk about September now because we're running a little low on
I don't.
time.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Yeah, I guess.
So after Tifa and Cloud, they kind
you
of
do
spun the
realize
wheels
Cloud
for a
has
bit,
like
released a bunch of
1k
units
more
that-
attack than Tifa when geared EX2 compared to her.
Yeah, and half as much
No.
damage.
What? I mean,
Guys, let's just move on.
So in September, we got not a lot of interesting stuff. They spun their wheels for a bit after Cloud and Tifa, and they released some units that were either largely
Yoshikiri.
worse or barely any better. We got Arrow, we got Axstar, we got Rain.
We had the couple of units that people had unrealistic expectations for, but were fine.
Yoshikiri and Elena came out, and they were both pretty good. Yoshikiri, I think, is mostly good because Gumi fucked up with Ibarra, and she's bugged. If it weren't for Ibarra, then Yoshikiri would be a lot less relevant in Dark Visions than he is right now. That's not to say he would be useless. But...
I mean, frankly, like, Ibarra does not need to be bugged to, like, make him good, but it is Ibarra in general with her really high base limit mod with no buff.
And then, so that's pretty much it for
September was just a boring month. Kind of same with October, except Ibarra, I imagine.
Broken.
Like,
yeah.
Pretty much.
I guess. There was a thing that the Dragon Quest Awakening.
They buffed the Dragon Quest units, and we got 3 relevant damage dealers, right?
Yes, so relevant. Well, 3 relevant damage dealers and a healer.
Yeah, well, the healer is obviously relevant, but the damage dealers, that was a surprise. Nobody was expecting 11 to deal as much damage as he did.
He did almost 11 damage.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going back on the Cloud thing, so I know why Muspel is so wrong. So first of all, you're saying that he does half damage when you're looking at the wiki sheet that actually uses his base, his Brave Shift LB with only the 100% buff. As I said, external support. So you need to use his base form LB and a bigger buff than 100%, and then he easily outdamages Tifa. Well, not easily, but he does.
There is a grand total of 1 unit that can give a buff.
Yes, Yoshi, and that's the unit you use.
And it's still 100%
yeah,
less.
But that's with already
buff.
300% innate, so it doesn't... It doesn't...
Bharos, I have done damage spreadsheets comparing units in Dark Visions where I tried to calculate how much damage I would deal. Cloud was like at most 2/3 of Tifa, and he was EX2.
I don't know. Then, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trusting you because you guys do sheets a lot better than me, but I'm really also trusting that this other person, I mean, it's Rigoro, and I'm really trusting his cheese because he already does his shit with his own gear and just like pure LB burst, and his Cloud does more damage than his Tifa. And my Cloud has done more damage than my Tifa because I've actually done more damage on bosses by replacing my Tifa for my Cloud. So I'm just saying, like with Yoshi, he does a lot of damage. I mean, he has so much more attack than Tifa. And yes, you get 100% less LB buff, active LB buff. But that's like what? That turns him from Tifa does what, 550? He does 450%? That's not a huge difference.
Alright, but speaking of bad math, there's one other thing in October, which is Ibarra.
Yes, the bugged Ibarra. Or, well, she's still bugged. She's not gonna get fixed anytime soon, right? Still unfixed in JP.
Probably not. It seems like they do not
probably
care,
not.
or at least don't want to make people mad.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's probably like somewhere fairly, I guess, deep in the code.
Yeah.
Because it's like a pure mechanics thing. So
Probably
they
not.
probably don't want to touch it on the GL side, and they'll just kind of poke JP with a stick and tell them to do it.
Yeah, but that's all.
Do something.
That's all for October, and then in November we got Kingdom Hearts, I guess, and that's about it. Oh, FaZe, right? FaZe.
Yeah, we're basically at present day.
Yeah,
You people remember this stuff by now.
Yeah, and I think the last 2 months have been just like, I guess, par for course. Like we're back into the warrior where they're spinning the wheel. We got FaZe and Kingdom Hearts. Other than that, what happened in December that we can say is like really exciting?
Terra.
Not really. Really? I don't know. I don't think Terra is.
I mean, I'm not super excited, but some people are apparently losing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not such a big look back when she was released.
But it's not the same level as Kingdom Hearts.
Wait! Did you just say not at the same level as Kingdom Hearts?
That's
like,
really
Terra is
exciting.
fucking broken for a long while to come.
No, I think he meant in terms of hype.
Yeah, but I get that. I mean, Final Fantasy VI was never, one of those big super hyped games. To be honest, like not even in the.
How
I mean,
dare
not
you?
even in the. I mean, hey, you're talking to the diehard Final Fantasy VI fan. I just ordered a displate of Narsh.
No, that's me, Bharos. We've been over that.
What?
We've been over this.
Well, that is all for
I'm
the
big
Global
Final
Exclusive
Fantasy
podcast.
yeah, true.
We will let Muspel and Bharos argue it out after the podcast is over.
Hold on.
So, thanks for listening, folks. Thank you for having...
Wait.
Okay,
no, wait.
fine. You're stopping me.
I've one
here we
final
go, yes.
addressment of this Cloud versus Tifa argument, because I have checked Rigoro's sheet that you are referring to, and at EX3, where Cloud has the most base attack advantage, his max burst is 758 billion. Tifa's max burst at EX3
But that's
is
with the 100%
849
buff,
billion.
in his sheet. That's the thing. Yeah, it is. I mean, double check it.
It
I
might
could
be
be
with the
wrong, but I'm pretty
150%
sure that
buff.
when I
But
asked
also
him to do the calcs for the
an extra
150%,
50% buff.
he came out on top.
Because LB damage stacks additively, there is no way that
Again,
50%
thank you for
LB
listening to the
damage
Global
would-
Exclusive podcast. We have loved your patronage for the last year, and we look forward to a better 2021 with you guys, our listeners, our great fans, and keep playing FFB. Bye, guys.
Bye.